I think we should jump straight back in, shouldn't we? I thought last time we ended up having half a conversation that people joined, and then
we did. We just sat down and
we started. So
we just sat down and started talking about gear, and it was like maybe we should actually put this in the podcast.
And I wondered last time if hopefully anyone noticed that we forgot to record an intro.
Yeah.
So you got like YouTube Chris in his cool studio doing the intro
in the office.
Time,
I thought I'd record a video one this time because normally when we forget to do the intro, I end up just recording a voice one and putting text over the top. And now we've got quite a lot of YouTube listeners, so it's like I should probably make a bit of effort.
Following now.
We've got a little bit of a following. Yeah, it's nice. It is really nice to see the analytics on the podcast app just like spike when we release a new episode, and things like people are obviously keeping up to date on Thursdays. So it is nice.
Then at the same time, you showed us up then though, because you were there in your like well lit like funky studio, and then you're back to my dining room again for the episode. One day we'll get to a point where one day we'll have our own wedding Catrico neon, and we'll be in like some futuristic looking studio.
Goals, I like the vibe of it anyway. Like we just come around. I get to see little Max, who's somewhere upstairs I think now, but
misbehaving.
Misbehaving. Yeah, we just had to get him to try and go try and sit down so that we could record this pod.
He's still playing the sit card at the moment, so I don't know how many of you keep up with sort of my socials and stuff, but you might have seen when this go out it'll be like the week before, but he was a little bit poorly over the weekend. He had a bit of a stomach problem and ended up at the vets and queued lots of tears and upset for me, but at the same time, like I've put in my notes as well, it's one of the nice things I guess about being self-employed is that I was able to literally on the Friday that he was sick pretty much just drop everything, have a day out of the office and spend it consoling myself and him at the vets. Obviously I had a wedding on the Saturday, but again it's nice to have that freedom. Like I don't know how can I say normal people cope, that if I'd have had that drama and still had to take myself to the office and
I was about to say
forced to have been productive, I don't know how I would have been. So.
When something big happens and you like then forced to go into the office and deal with everyone else's problems, and like whereas we can just literally just drop things out of a hat and just be like, right, I can't work today because there's going to be no point in me trying when all I'm thinking about is, dog at the vets or something.
Yeah, and I think also as well, the thing that really kind of warmed my heart, I guess, even more is that, and it's funny because the workshop is coming up. It's pretty, by the time this comes out, it would have happened. No, it'll be days away.
It'll be days away.
It'll be days away. Obviously, we're talking about branding and this and that, and my dog being ill is definitely not my brand. But obviously, I like to shoot weddings for people that like dogs. And I pretty much had so many messages. As soon as I put up having a day out of the office, Max is poorly, like he got more well wishes than if I was sick, I think. Like anybody I shot a wedding for who has a dog pretty much sent me a really lovely message, which is really cool that people still follow, still take an interest, or obviously I share enough of my life and little Max that they were concerned when he wasn't well. So that was kind of quite a nice comfort actually, is that I feel like sometimes you have to make apologises for your personal life. At work, where if anything, because we see so much of our clients' personal lives by being there on their wedding days, that by the time we share a little bit, they're equally as concerned when
they kind of take an interest in ours, and then when you put things up, they're like, oh, this is really cool, and
again show concern when things don't go quite as well. It allows you to be a little bit more kind of genuine, I think, or you don't have to just kind of lie or go, I'm having a family day, and I'm not saying you have to share everything. I definitely don't, but I think it was nice that I could allow myself to kind of be honest as to what was happening, and everyone was really kind of supportive rather than being, you haven't replied to my email. I want my invoice. They were almost like that, which was really nice. So,
I always get the most likes on stories of my cats. Like I can do a story talking about all this amazing stuff that I'm doing, but then my cat picture will just get so many much likes. It's like,
you have like a glass box on the door. It's like low engagement, break out the cat.
Do something funny.
That's what we need. Get like cat merch. For the pod, and that's it. That's our way to go viral. Like.
I apologise for my sniffing today as well. I've just literally gone to the shop on the way here and bought my spring summer survival kit. Well, I'm called. Wait, let me bring it out for the video.
I feel like we need to see this. Yeah, if anyone doesn't know, it is clearly evident that Chris is a hay fever sufferer. So he's got his trifecta of drugs here. That's it.
Here we go. So anyone who is in the industry and has hay fever will know this pain of having to turn up to a wedding and just being like sniffly, eyes like dripping. It's like you're crying at every possible moment. So I've gone to the shop and I've got the two different types of tablets and the nose spray as well.
Wow.
And literally, like, I took it to the till and she goes, I'm assuming this isn't all for you. And I was like, yeah, it's all for me. She's like, you're not taking it all today, are you? And I was like, no, don't worry. It's like spread over a period of time.
I'm stocking up. But don't you find that I'm fortunate that I'm not particularly a hay fever sufferer? Although I think I was talking to this about something I said yesterday, is I feel like I had 1 year, there was like 2018 or 2019, where the pollen was just different. And I had a wedding where I like knelt down in like a hayfield or something and was streaming, and had never experienced that in my life at all.
People have different levels of it, don't
and
they?
I had it just for that 1 year,
Yeah.
and then now I've been finding it ever since.
Yeah.
It's bizarre. But
it can come on at any time, and it can go at any time, I'm pretty sure, as well. Like, as a kid, I didn't really have it. And I always thought it was funny when people had it, because it'd be like, that's quite funny that during the summer you just get, like, your eyes just go funny and you get sneezing and that. I think that's hilarious, and then I got it as well.
and then it's not so funny anymore.
No.
Especially as well when we work at, a lot of our share of barn venues, cornfields, long grass, that looks great in photos and film. But when you've got like a piece of grass tickling your nose while you're trying to get some foreground interest, and then
you're in the bush,
that results to compulsive sneezing, it's not quite fun.
Yeah, my eyes swell up quite a lot and my nose gets blocked really easy. So like the nasal spray, I recommend, right? Pyrenees nasal spray. It looks like an advert for a pharmacy or something.
It sounds like the stuff that you get at Nando's. Like Pyrenees sounds like Pyrenees.
Pyrenees, yeah. It's literally Pyrenees. It's Pyrenees with an I.
But don't put that in your chicken.
Spray is, unless you have really bad You're sniffing off your chicken.
Maybe it was a corn-fed chicken. That's a terrible joke.
But the nasal spray is cracking. And then there's the prescription stuff, which I used to have to go to the doctors to get, is now available on a from Tesco. You can just walk in to Tesco and get it. It's fexofenadine. Used to have to go get it at pharmacy. But so for anyone that's getting hay fever, this episode is for you.
But I guess, and also I think that segues nicely into, I guess it wasn't an issue for you last week because you went to the city, didn't you? You went up to the big smoke with your pals.
Yes, I did. Yeah, and that was nice. So. Basically, like for the last few months, I'd say I haven't done any personal projects. I'm doing less corporate stuff. It's just been really intensive weddings, and me, Josh, and Sean, who are friends of both of ours, were like, should we just go like somewhere to do some photos and just do something that's not like do some photos, some video, and just something that's not like wedding orientated or like work, like too related to work, and we can get some photos of each other while we're there and stuff as well. And so we went to London, and I got did some street photography stuff, bought the A7C with the 28mm and the 55mm as well. So it was really cool to like limit myself to just a couple of lenses. Also, just try like just take photos kind of for fun, but not like, I feel like on holiday you're kind of limited by you've got to get to one place or another. It was literally like if you want to stop and really try and frame it up and get the right shot.
I think like on a holiday we spoke about, I feel like holiday cameras and holidays are like a
come up a lot for us,
a real kind of solid part of this pod. But it's you're very much box ticking, aren't you? As long as you're in it and you look okay, and it says something about the location, like your box ticked. But just to take a camera out and go, I'm going to take photos, and with no kind of brief or kind of reason of other just to kind of use my kit, get inspired, kind of take in where I am, and purely just for fun. It's quite nice to almost have that kind of something which is quite a work constraint and just do it for the sake of because you can rather than because you have to or because you need to capture something which is kind of specific. And I said to you over WhatsApp, like I just felt like so much more mindful, just being like, just had a day to just walk around, capture what I want. And then some of the photos that came out of it I was just really happy with, and I was like, the ones that you shared on your stories I thought were great. It was solid kind of street photo. The grade on them was really nice, and again kind of but real kind of classic, say standard sounds like that shit, but like classic street photography, like just look like the composition was nice. You can kind of see the way the light falling. You kind of really got a sense of where you were, and then like the revolving door one that was kind of more like kind of reflective and stuff like that. It was really nice to kind of see like it wasn't just like street light. There was kind of a real nice variety across the
and like some people in it every now and then and things as well. I'm completely new to street photography. That's the first time I've ever gone out with the intention of doing it, so I don't pretend that it's going to be something amazing, but like I was just really happy with what I got, and I was like, I really enjoyed this, so I feel like it might be something to do again at some point. And we did manage to get some headshots of each other as well. That was a thing that we wanted to do. Never really gone out specifically to get headshots, so like it was a little bit like, we've got to find a spot, and it's not too like I don't know, not too obvious that we've gone to London and done it, but at the same time like a good bit of light and things like that. So we went to Mayfair, and which is crazy.
It's home that luxury market.
I've literally never been there. I've never been there before, I don't think, and it was crazy to see. Honestly, like it's a whole new world to me. I'd never seen that part of London. We found like this alleyway with like a nice backdrop and got some headshots. But the funniest part was This is not funny at all, actually. But so as I was taking photos of Josh, this older bloke came past and was like, just watch out, because there's the guys on balaclavas are coming, and that, you know, just make sure your like stuff is put away or whatever. And sure enough, like a couple of minutes later, this guy on an electric bike in a balaclava like sped past us and was like screamed something at us, and it was like, oh god, like this is mad. And
if you were there with a camera in one hand, it could have easily been grabbed on the way past.
It would have, yeah. And I think like our gear was all sort of in separate bags on the corner of this alleyway. Like he could have easily just swiped the bag and got out of there with his electric bike. But from then onwards, we started seeing around Mayfair all these guys dotted around with balaclavas, and they're all basically waiting for you to get your phone out and come and swipe it. It's just a mad thought to me that is like, they got electric bikes. They're pretty good bikes. Like, look quite
Sadly,
expensive.
we have a couple of them around here in Portsmouth where I live, where I've come home late from weddings, and you're someone on an electric bike with the lights turned off and no number plates on, no helmet, come flying past you, doing faster than my car when I'm coming home from a wedding, and they can dive through kind of an alleyway and stuff like that, and it's
really scary. Like people would literally like had their phones out and would just get swiped. Like, well, obviously we didn't witness it, but then soon after, Josh sent me an Instagram post that someone had posted, like a reel, and it was literally like a dash cam footage of it actually happened. And this guy just cycles up, sees someone, swipes it, and then because those bikes are so good,
rapid,
he's just gone. Like,
I can get through the traffic faster than other vehicles and stuff can.
Yeah,
and I guess for all the things that we said when you went to Mayfair, it's like, off to the luxuries. But they know that there's obviously a degree of wealthy people or business people wandering around that are going to be in a hurry and not paying attention, and briefcase in one hand, phone in the other, and you know that it's probably going to be the latest tech or an expensive thing because of where you are in London. Yeah,
that's their target market. Yeah, there was like it was London's one of those places, like there's so much to it, so many different areas. Like we went to Bank and got all of like the workers and things like that, and then we went to Mayfair and got like some of the richer side. But then you can go to like the eastern side and get some more of like graffiti and like more casual side of things, and like so much inspiration there. But you do have to have your wits about you, especially when you've got the camera.
This is probably going to sound incredibly naive, but most of the time that I've been to London previously, I've always been with a purpose.
Yeah.
So I've gone up, got the train to Waterloo, or drove into somewhere, and then just jumped on the tube, got to the nearest tube station, to the museum or the theatre or wherever I'm going, got up, and then so I've never really wandered London. And it wasn't until I went to Thrive in March that I decided I wasn't going to take the tube at all.
Yeah.
And I just wanted I walked in both days, and on my way back to the station, I did decide to wander, and you forget kind of how near everything is. Or then after having been to New York, like last year, where that's so like neatly divided up into like, this is the jewellery quarter, this is like the theatre bit, and you realise that London's exactly the same.
Pretty similar, yeah.
But I never realised it before because I always went everywhere underground.
Yeah.
It's not until you wander that you realise, you're out of the theatre now and you're into this bit and this and that, and it's divided up in a very similar fashion to New York is. That kind of, there's like a grid system, and you kind of, one zone finishes and another zone starts. But I'd never really thought of it like that way. I know that London's an hour from my house and New York's a lot longer, because I've never engaged with it in that way. And like I say, just to get up and just wander, rather than just kind of being, I need to get from here to here. What's the quickest way? Okay, let's go on the tube.
Yeah, I went through Soho for the first time. And like me and Josh talking about this, it was like when you go to London, especially if you don't live in London, you're not often going for a purpose. If you go into a gig or a job or something, and you're just getting the quickest way there.
Yeah.
But if you just wander, you start to discover things that you just didn't know were there. Like literally walk through Soho and then come out into Mayfair, like, and they're two completely different places, but they're just so tight.
But you cross a road pretty much.
Yeah, that is so close. So yeah, all of that amazed me. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. Did get some headshots as well, and I had. Funny, like I used AI to edit some of the headshots.
Okay.
So essentially, I was wearing like a black hoodie with this sort of like denim jacket over the top, sort of thing. And when it came to like the photos, they were like Josh edited them, and I was like, the black hoodie's good, but it's not really like on brand if I want to use it for business. So I literally AI'd the hoodie out, and it literally replaced.
So the hood's just gone.
Yeah, the hood's gone, and it replaced it with the collar, the rest of the collar of the same jacket. It was insane.
That's so cool.
And then I got rid of the logo from the hoodie, and it's just I'm just wearing a jacket and a black t-shirt, which is like perfectly on brand. And I've used that for my wedding profile pic now. But it's like,
so you see that if you go to Chris's website or you see anything new headshots come out from Chris, you can secretly know that's a hoodie.
It's all fake. Yeah.
You can have that one on us. Yeah.
The thing is, my wife comes up and she's like, "Why don't you edit your nose as well?" I was like, "What?" So
wow, shots fired.
So I actually did, and I was like, "Let's see how it works." And it replaced my nose with like a perfectly symmetrical, and I was like, "That is a handsome fellow," but I cannot do that. So I didn't
a branding
use that,
shot is so that people can recognise you, and then you go, that's like me going, add some hair in, like, that's it, kind of, like reduce the nose, isn't that? It's like, this guy's a 10, but he looks nothing like me. Yeah,
bit of a catfish on the day. Yeah.
Exactly that. Yeah.
But yeah, I thought that was really interesting. Obviously, didn't use the nose thing, but it was really interesting to see what I'd look like with a perfect nose. But yeah, talking about having fun with photos, you've I want to talk about your Hasselblad,
yes,
your Instax thing.
Yes, I've literally just moved it, so it's not here. I'm going to run and go and get it.
Yeah, go and get it.
If you can run and go and get hay fever tablets, I can run and go and get a camera.
We're doing show and tell, and a camera's a little bit more interesting than my hay fever tablets, but
I love how it's show and tell as well, but it's on a podcast. So
yeah. Sorry,
we're trying hard for those YouTube views. That's what it is. So if you want to look at what this thing is, it might be easier that you head over to YouTube rather than listen to us.
Yeah,
but
if you want to see our show and
not
tell,
if you're driving, I must
and
say.
Max in the background, then watch YouTube.
So basically, I have had this Mamiya camera since forever.
Oh, it's not Hasselblad.
Sorry. It's not Hasselblad. So Hasselblad's a square format. There, I made by Hasselblad. Funny enough. So this is a Japanese camera called Mamiya. It's a 6.7 medium format film camera. I've had it since I was at university. And it's a very, very nice camera. But obviously, as time's gone on, film's got a lot more expensive. You can see the size of it if you're watching. It's not a camera that I could use easily off of a tripod.
It's a beast.
And the rest of it. So back in the day, again, I don't want to insult the education of our audience, but if you're old like me, obviously, when you used to shoot photos on film, if you were to do stuff with kind of lighting and particularly like flashes and things like that, the only way to check that your lighting is well exposed is that you would have a Polaroid back for your camera, so that then you would take a Polaroid of the scene, look at it and go, okay, the lights are working, that's fine, I can now shoot on film and know that that my scene is going to be it's going to be, it's well lit. So that was the purpose of using a Polaroid back on a film camera. So that you could check in that instance that obviously all the lights were firing through the camera and it is well exposed and the rest of it. So, but they used to use these peel apart Polaroids. So you'd pull it out the side of the camera, stick it in your armpit because it's warm, because obviously they develop quicker in the warmth. And then you'd peel it apart, you'd see your picture, and off you'd go. Polaroid, obviously, their business demised in whenever. And then Fuji used to make this FP100 film, which was a peel apart film. And they stopped making that in the mid 2000s. So now if you try and buy it on eBay, it comes up, it's about £90 a packet. And obviously it went out of date like 10 years ago. So even in the freezer, it's pretty expensive. So I was left with this camera, which I could still shoot film on, but I really enjoy shooting Polaroids, and did used to enjoy shooting Polaroids just for that gratification of having like an instant photo, but with the benefits of medium format, depth of field, selective focus, and all the rest of it.
Still have to take a bit of time as well to frame up rather than just taking loads of shots.
This camera is still completely manual, so I still have to use a light meter and take a light meter reading, and then obviously dial the settings in, focus it, and the rest of it. So I was kind of left, and I was really enjoyed that instant thing. And then I was stumbling over the last year. I've seen these pop up on Reels and on Instagram, where basically there are clever people out there which take apart Instax cameras, take the lens off, take the mechanics out of them, then print a plate that screws to the front of the camera so you can mount it to your medium format camera.
I just think that's so clever. When you told me about that, I was like, nah, that's not going to work.
Which, however someone did the science behind it, is pretty clever. So that's essentially what this is. If you can see, it's an Instax square camera, which has this black piece 3D printed, so
literally
that it mounts
attached to the back of your big old film camera.
Yes, and it literally comes off the back of the camera, and you can see it. It's just there with a dark slide in it, and then it just mounts on, but it all looks super like professional because it's been like 3D printed rather than just like sticky back plastic and stuff. And so
it's funny because it's like a consumer camera, right? The Instax. So you basically like taken apart a consumer camera, slapped it onto what was probably quite a good camera when that was.
This was like top of the line. This would have been used as a professional grade, kind of big studio camera at the time.
And now you've made it more accessible for the modern day.
Basically. And that's it. And I've shot them. I'll share some. Me and Chris are going to take Polaroids of each other at the end of this because I've got 2 shots left in that, and we'll share them on our story so you can see. But just that kind of
Can
fact
you AI edit my nose though?
of having kind of that instant feel. But then the weird thing about it is obviously I didn't realise until I looked into it that Instax film is actually 800 ISO. So to try and use it in really bright light is really limiting, but to use it in kind of lower light or just indoors and stuff, it's created some really lovely kind of, like, you haven't got that flash that pings off on every Instax. Like, it's not flat. Obviously, you're not confined by the fixed focus plastic lens. You're not combined with all those things. So it arrived last week and I've shot pretty much a box for it already, and I'm actually in love. And I'm not sure how it's going to fit into weddings because of the size of the camera and the rest of it, but I'm sure there's definitely a use for it in my practice or even in small portrait situations to be able to create this most elevated version of an Instax Polaroid that you can get. I think it's
would you get an ND for it to like shoot out?
Potentially.
Yeah.
I would have to then really lean into my, like, I feel like my photography skills have got lazy as I've gone on now with not having to worry about settings because of auto ISOs, where the light meter would give me a reading and then I would have to work out, okay, well, if I put a 3-stop ND on it, that means that I can add 3 stops to that. So what does that do in terms of bringing the shutter speed down and almost just get my head back around that, which I used to do, obviously, when I used to use this camera all the time. Obviously, film is only daylight balance. So if you were shooting something that was tungsten, I have to shoot this with a blue filter over the lens to colour correct the film. So that obviously then you...
this is all new to me, this is education.
Obviously, when you shoot a raw file, you just move the colour temperature slider and it's done. But you had to do that with a piece of plastic and a filter because you couldn't change you couldn't change the colour temperature of your film.
Yeah. I always think it's wasted on weddings. I feel like there's not too many couples in our target market that would appreciate
and that's
what's
I
gone
think
into it.
I do have, and probably only a handful of couples, and that's probably being generous, every year that I go, oh, do you know what, I'm into film photography myself, or they're passionate about photography and they want to talk to you about cameras or that kind of stuff because they have an interest in themselves. So I think for those people it'd be really nice to bust it out because they wouldn't mind taking the time and me there my light meter and doing that to get this really special portrait for them. But I think a lot of people, when my brand is like, we're out for 10 minutes, nice portraits back into the party, would go, oh, it's just a faff.
Be looking at that, what's this for
to
one
give,
for
to,
one
to give me
shot
like a small Polaroid. But it's a fun thing, and when I put it on my socials, a lot of people that are kind of our photographers are interested in kind of Polaroid or this and that were quite interested by it. So it's a fun thing to look at. So this company is called Binstax because it's made for the RB. If you have an RZ, they do one called Zinstax, which eventually is the same thing. The mount plate's just different, so that it fits on the camera.
Different
brand. There's a couple of others out there. But they're there to find if that's your thing. So
amazing. I think it's cool. I've learned a lot from you talking about this stuff. So I think it's like it looks like a lot of fun. And I've really enjoyed that. Like we spoke about that slower process.
Because what we do now is I still make hopefully a lot of good photography, but the actual process of like dialing in a shutter speed, dialing in this, like that, like building everything from the ground up for every frame. We just don't do that anymore in our jobs. I don't have to because I have a camera which I can leave in auto ISO, or I know that if I set the aperture, it'll work out the shutter for me. And in certain times, I couldn't be running down a confetti run with my light meter or doing those meter readings before would make our jobs so much longer. But people must have had to done it. People would have used these at weddings.
But that's why things are more documentary now, because they can be. Because you can, like, the photography is almost secondary to the moment.
I believe so. Wedding photography and videography is adapted because it can, not because the tech's allowed us to shoot the way that we do now, rather than
when you get your parents and that, like, all we got really is group shots, and we didn't get any like candid shots of our guests and whatever. And it's like that's because they probably didn't have the film.
Otherwise, you'd be shooting 100 rolls of film at your wedding to get 360 shots, really. And you think now,
might not be very
sometimes
good.
I could take 360 shots by the time I get to the ceremony of a day, or maybe more.
Probably.
Maybe just through prep alone might be that many. So it's a very different beast, isn't it? But
so you've put about doing the wedding together and me posting that trailer. I'm really you put it in the notes, and I'm really intrigued at what you thought.
I just really liked it. It's not that I don't dislike any of your other work, but I think particularly there was a moment at the start of this trailer, and again, you're gonna have to go to Chris's show socials and see this. Is obviously we did a wedding together on Easter, didn't we, for Catherine and Brian at Farbridge. And obviously we went out, we did like the champagne spray at sunset, and the light was incredible.
It was really, really good. It was insane.
And there was like, if you know kind of the venue, it's like a barn venue, and it has like a long drive with hedges, and the hedges were still quite orange, weren't they? Almost autumnal in colour. First spring was kind of odd, but the light was hitting this kind of bush, and it was there, and they were having fun, and we spoke about this a lot on the last episode, so I don't want to dwell on it too much, but obviously we were both there. But then you watch the film, and the way that you kind of have that, like, at the start, you start with the champagne bit, and then loads of bits of the day flash up as if it's like someone's life's flashing before their eyes.
Yeah.
And then it comes into it. Like, I was there at all those moments, but I feel like the way that you managed to wrap that up and present it, I can't do that with my photo gallery.
Yeah, true.
And maybe it's just kind of, this is maybe a me kind of doffing my cap to appreciating videography or good videography, or how different. Essentially, we would say that we're a similar style,
and
I'm going to deliver them still photos from that moment, which hopefully they like just as much as your film, but how different they are.
Yeah, okay.
Like that, the cinema of that, the way that like plays out, and you can kind of build that narrative of like their day flashing by whilst the champagne's like falling around them, and then zoom into like the story part. Like, even if I reshuffled their gallery, the still photos.
To do the hero shots at the start.
Like, so the way that they consumed it would be like that. It still wouldn't fit quite the same.
No. I know what you mean. And I think it comes down to passive versus active consumption. And is that like video is very much passive, like you can just sit there and you're fed the information, whereas photos you kind of have to scroll through and you can take time to look at them.
But the immersion though, like if you sat and watched that, like I watched it on my phone, like in the dark, and was like, oh, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And I know it was amazing because I was there, and it really did take me back there.
Yeah.
But then I feel like my photos are consumed differently.
Definitely, yeah. It's a different purpose, I think, isn't it? Like you say, like the video is really to take you back there. The photos are to capture some of the moments, like in still, and you know, maybe you'd get some on your wall, maybe you'd get it out and show, like, you know, show your kids down the line, oh, this is grandpa or whatever, and us in like a, you know, just having a chat or whatever. But with the video, it's because it's more passive. It's like you just watch the whole thing. You don't necessarily pause on frames and be like, oh, look at this person.
Yeah, that's definitely true. And I don't know why particularly that film, because obviously we did the wedding before that, and I watched Ollie and Katie's film as well.
Yeah.
And I feel very much of that, like I was watching the day back.
Yeah.
That was very much like, I was like, oh, I was there. That's exactly how it was.
Yeah.
But somehow the way that like edit was, or the way like you seem to make the light look maybe different to I was when I feel like I'm quite good at sunsets. It still seemed to have that richness, or maybe it was because of the motion. You could see the light kind of dance, which you which you don't get in a film. I have to put myself in the right place and go, oh, there's not a bit of flare, I can do that, and then take the photo.
Yeah.
Where you can almost rely on that kind of flickering of a light to create
the trees and things like that.
To kind of create narrative. And I don't know why, it just seemed like I was watching the absolute best version of that day.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of times,
that makes sense, yeah.
I don't. Even if I work with videographers and don't see the finished films, so I never know what they look like.
Yeah.
Where obviously where we're friends and I watched your films and then I've done it in the road. For some reason, between Ollie and Katie's was great, and I felt like it really told the story of their day.
Yeah.
It's just that kind of opening scene and the way that kind of the warmth was there, and the way that like that almost like flashback nature.
Yeah.
It almost was not something that I felt like I'd seen too much in a wedding film before.
Okay.
And it was almost like, oh, this is so cool. Like, and I really liked it, so I just thought that I would add it in the notes.
Sort of opening with that. In my opinion, a wedding film is all about the beginning and the end. Like the middle bit is story, but the beginning, like the beginning, especially for a trailer, is like if the way I see it, if they're showing their friends, oh, do you want to see my wedding trailer, which is probably the one that their friends are going to see. Like you want their friends for instantly to be like, oh, that's cool, and then like to end on a really high of like all the dancing and stuff, and everything else is just story, and there's not a lot. There's obviously videographers out there who do all kinds of effects and stuff all the way through the film, but I'm very much like, I want to keep it as natural as possible, but still make it look like I've not put some effort into it. But at the same time, I don't want to put like effects and change things in the middle too much, because I still want it to be relevant in 20 years time. Yeah. But for a beginning of a trailer, I like to lead with like the hero stuff and be like, this was the vibe of the day. But I feel like the first wedding we did, I feel like I did it a bit more traditionally. Yeah. So it is very much from start to finish, here's your trailer sort of thing, because I feel like they would appreciate that. Yeah. And then because it's like the second wedding, we had like a lot more of the sunset. We had a lot more dancing. This dancing was crazy, and it was a proper like party. There's a lot of people. There's that kind of vibe. I thought they'd appreciate something a bit more like hard hitting at the start, like a bit. And
obviously as well, obviously we were at the wedding, so we can talk about it like we know it. But so the groom had a son, didn't he? And he gave a speech, which was pretty funny, wasn't it?
Yeah,
right. So,
he was so good. Yeah.
Again, I think because of maybe obviously, although obviously every couple has like a great day, it's almost looking for us for things that make that their day, theirs. Like most weddings have a best man speech, and to have or a dad talking. So although obviously to the couple it really kind of resonates because it's their dad or their best man, I think when you put that on like socials or just in a portfolio, or it's a child's voice before you even see the little kid.
Yeah.
And the way that he's talking about his dad, it's something which you don't see in every film.
Yeah.
And it's picking those little bits out, I think. Like I say, is you're making a truly unique film, which is not obviously every film's unique because it's unique to that family. But in terms of like kind of something standing out or being different to the ordinary, like if you had someone that had a granddad for their best man, you can tell like an aged voice, can't you?
Yeah.
And it sounds very different to a child's voice and that stuff. And I don't know why.
That's what kind of makes
just for some reason, the way that the kind of like the flair came in and then that bit played out.
Yeah.
Like I felt like I was watching some kind of like film rather than
I like that. That's
watching
good.
back someo's wedding, you know? And in a way that I've not really seen before. Maybe that's down to my naivety or just that you're good at what you do. I'd like to think it's both, but yeah.
No, it's nice. That means it stood out, which is all I asked for, to be honest.
I think that was it. It really stood out. Or I felt from someone that was there, it was a real it felt how it felt, but like I say, the best version of how it
definitely.
looked.
Yeah, that's what trailer is, isn't it? Really, it's just the best of everything.
Exactly that. Yeah. So I think again, before we kind of jump into spend loads of time catching up and not loads of time talking about what the episode's actually about.
Yeah.
I think the only thing to say is the workshop is now pretty damn close, isn't it?
Yeah, the anxiety is real. I feel like we're feeling pretty good about it. Like I feel if we didn't do a presentation, didn't do any of that, and just sat in a room and spoke for a day, we could do it.
Yeah.
But I feel like the main pressure for me is I'm spending like days just trying to get examples and put stuff down, and I'm not very good. At focusing on those sort of admin-y bits. I really struggle unless
especially now things are starting to take off always round. Like I found that I've had some commercial work coming up. Like my weddings are starting to come thicker and faster than they were over the last couple of months. And then but I feel like because this is the next deadline for me, that I want to spend all my time
on that.
And the more that I work on the slides, the more ideas I have of things that I want to put in.
Yeah. And it's probably just cramming things in.
Yeah. And it's that fine balance, because like we said all along, we could sit and hopefully just talk to the people that are coming and they would find some value. But at the same time, obviously, this is our first workshop I can only speak for myself, that I'm so determined that everybody walks away with so much. Like I don't want anyone to come up to walk away and go, oh, well, I didn't really get from it what I wanted. I want everyone to be the opposite, where they're like, they need to go and sit in a dark room to like process everything.
Yeah.
Or they walk away just so excited to go, I can make these changes, it's going to do this, and feel really energized about their branding and marketing after they leave, that I don't want to leave anything out. But at the same time, we've only got a certain amount of time to cram in so much. I'd rather hone 5 points home well than brush over 20 points and then people feel that they only got half an answer.
Yeah, like a diluted sort of workshop, which is what kind of like you get when you just go on YouTube or like look up things online. You get like a diluted version of
because they want you to buy the course, and now we're making the damn course. It's like it can't be broad strokes, can it, anymore?
But we want you to come away with like at least like a few nuggets of information. Like if you're experienced already, then at least a few nuggets of information that you can be like, wow, I need to apply this right now. And the thing is that I've tried to do is be like in the slides that I've made is like ways to implement it right now.
Yes,
as the main thing. Like we can sit and talk about branding and like the theory of it and whatever, but like the important thing is how can I make my website, like if I'm sitting there at that workshop, I'm thinking how can I make my website or brand better, not how is this put, you know what I mean? Does that make sense? Not just
it's almost on using examples which understand the point we're trying to make, but also deliver something which seems achievable.
Yeah.
Like it's all very well talking about like how Coca-Cola are the biggest brand in the world.
Yeah.
But we don't need to be that big, because we only need a set amount of wins every year.
What do we need?
But it's taking the bits of what makes them good and applying that to the scale of your business, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So
I'm feeling the pressure. I'm really looking forward. I'm hoping what I want, like the absolute dream, is that we get there on the day, it goes so well, everybody in the room loves it, makes big changes, it helps them be successful to the point that we get enough of a demand that we can then do it again.
Yeah, we'd definitely love to do it again, I think next year or maybe later on in the year. I'm not really sure.
But or even the content that we're making for this. Like I'm almost going, do you know what, now we've got it all in one place.
Yeah.
It almost seems a shame that it's going to go out to the handful of people that are in the room. If more people then find that they do want it, that we could almost do... Like we could use those slides again to other people. Yeah, if it's something that people wanted or felt that this date didn't work for them, or it sold out before they had a chance to jump on.
There was at least 3 or 4 people that messaged me and was like, I would have come, but I just can't come on that day. Yeah. So I reckon like if we did it again, and like you say, it's already made and we spent a lot of time on it, and we're about to spend more time on it after this as well. So I feel like that'd be really good. I also wanted to mention just before we get into it, the Coda conference.
Yes.
Which has got tickets for, which is pretty cool. So basically, it's a videographer's conference run by Rue Films and Nine Dots. And it's just like a few really good speakers who are, like really sort of well respected in the industry. Yes, it's in Birmingham. This is not an advert for it whatsoever, but I just thought as soon as I saw it, I was like, this is a cracking idea.
I think it's worth shouting out for the point that am I right in saying this is, I think, from what I've seen, and I'm not a videographer, that this is the first conference of its kind that's pretty much purely aimed at the video sector.
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Like there's loads of, I've been to my share of photography conferences where they've had a token video speaker, or video's been discussed, or it's been almost been a way of, add video to your photo business, or have a videographer come along and talk to us so that we can kind of understand their thing, the same that we've done photo versus video episodes.
Yeah.
But now that there are such a thriving community of videographers and filmmakers in this country, that I think it needs. And again, the lineup they've put out is absolutely stellar. Like I think there's some of the best names that are doing it in this country are speaking, and so it's an absolute no-brainer not to go.
They've done really well to instantly go and get the speakers that they've got for a start, and they're all advertising it like they're passionate about it as well, which I think is a big thing. And like you say, like I think there's a lot of that photography. Oh yeah, we got photography farm, we got this, we got that, and the other. And then for video, like I feel like there is community. We sort of know each other. Yeah. There's no real chance for us to get together in like a room or a place and just venue and just meet each other and things like that. And I feel like that's it's a gap in the market that they've definitely filled here.
For sure. And I think, like you said, like you talk about like the wedding videographers group on here quite a lot.
Yeah.
That's a huge online community, and I'm sure that when you go to Coda, there'll be a bunch of people that are on that group that are there in person.
Yeah.
And names that you've seen pop up or had conversations with virtually. And how nice is it just to walk up to someone in a room and go, "Oh, I really like your work." Can shake them by the hand and then have a chat about what they do. That's not recorded. It is recorded. I thought it's not recorded. It just randomly lit up.
Yeah, it's lit up.
Don't really panic. I thought it stopped. So but to have that social or physical in-face networking element to it, I think it'll be so valuable, as well as obviously having the incredible speakers on the day and the knowledge that they share.
Definitely. I literally put it on Instagram yesterday that I was going, and I got quite a lot of messages from videographers that I'd like followed for a while and had followed me for a while, and we sort of like exchanged messages before and that, but I'd never met, going, I'll meet you there. And it's like finally I get to meet all of these people that I follow their work and things like that, and we've sort of networked over online but never actually met in person. And I think it shows because we're recording on the Tuesday, this will go out on the Thursday. But as of the Tuesday, they released early bird tickets yesterday, and they put out a thing this morning saying that 80% sold out.
Wow!
Just from the early bird tickets. So I think people have needed this for a while. So I wanted to
to be the first one as well. I think it's always nice to be at the beginning of something, isn't it? Like you kind of feel that that you're kind of there at the beginnings, and then if they run them yearly, that you'll start to see the same faces come, and you'll grow. Yeah. You'll grow with the conference, and how you may even speak at it one day.
One day, yeah. Well, I was thinking when I was looking at the speakers, I'd quite like to be among this list one day. Yeah.
It's always a goal, isn't it? And I felt that. So for someone that's attended like Photography Farm or Thrive every year. Like, I don't maybe think I'm quite there yet, but I always think like I've sat in this chair so much, and at the start, anyone's been to Thrive, like so Lisa makes these really cool videos of people's work, and it has this like boom, 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 music, and their work changes. And like for me, I think that's like I'd be lying if that wasn't a goal for me. Like for me to have like my photos in the like boom, 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 music, like I think I'd probably cry just at that. Just look at that. It's like an absolute life goal for the amount of
see your face on the advertisement of the thing.
But even just like I think for being an attendee and being sat in those chairs and taking so much away from the people that have spoke, to almost be thought of enough that to be in that position yourself. I think that'd be the coolest thing in the world.
It would be cool, yeah. But I'm looking forward to it. Should be good.
Be really good, yeah. I'm really excited. I'm not a videographer, but I'm just kind of getting low-key FOMO that I'm not going.
Yeah,
so,
I know. You should come
the way that it's branded, again, like it just looks really cool. The fact that they're doing it, I think that's a really good thing. Or it's a really exciting thing for our industry, is that this stuff is starting to happen now. That people aren't just talking about or moaning. It'd be really good if we had this, that people are actually getting out there and doing it.
Yeah, it's a cracking price. I won't lie. Like as soon as I saw the price, I was like, I'm getting it out right now. Like it's really good. So I wasn't expecting it.
Yeah, and for all the things that we said in our education episode and continue to say on here, I think I can honestly say that the money that I've spent on my business, the growth has been made by learning education than buying the new lens or buying whatever. So whatever the price is, if you can afford it, I think you definitely won't regret it.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're on to now. I feel like we've talked about loads of fun and really infusing stuff.
Hell of a catch up, especially over 2 weeks as well. It's been since we last recorded. We've got
it's
a lot
not
to talk
long,
about.
is it? And then I feel now that we're on to something which can be quite a boring subject, but at the same time, I feel like it's absolutely saved my life.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like one of those things that you can preach to people who are like all you like about it, but it is like, oh yeah, you get workflows and on your CRMs and everything. But like you say, like once you implement that into your like a CRM into your business, it will it does change and it saves you time and it improves your business. And it's like, yeah.
Like I can at the moment for the thing, the way that the level that I'm running my business at the moment, I can almost hand on heart say I don't need a VA because I have Studio Ninja.
Yeah.
Like the admin that I do on a day-to-day basis is manageable because of the level of automation that I have running through Studio Ninja.
Yeah. Studio Ninja pretty much replaced Kate. No, Kate, honestly,
the robot stole her job.
When we
a ninja stole her job.
Yeah. That's what it is. No, I just pay that yearly. When we first implemented Studio Ninja, Kate was like, this is basically doing all the things that I do for the business. And now like it literally does automate all of those admin tasks so that you don't like have to do any of that. And we wanted to do an episode on CRMs because even though I feel like most people use it now, there's probably people out there who are either thinking about getting a CRM or they just don't know about it. And they're using like paper contracts or sending people out a booking form on their email, like, oh, reply with your name and everything and you're booked in. And you just don't know until someone else tells you and you're like, that makes a lot of sense. And I feel like something that, we wanted to talk about because of how much it affects our business.
And I guess what I want to say at this point, that obviously me and Chris are both Studio Ninja users and we're not sponsored yet by Studio Ninja, but obviously we've both been using it for a while and have endless good things to say about it. So if you asked either of us a recommend, I'm sure I would say Studio Ninja, but there are obviously a bunch of others on the market which have different functionalities and may work better for you. There's Dubsado, there's 17 Hats, there's Sprout, there's Light Blue, there's an endless ones out there. So we're only probably most of what we talk about will be how we use Studio Ninja, but most of the CRM systems work in a similar fashion and do the same things. So it might just be the way that you go about that. You build it slightly differently in your app, but obviously we're talking pretty much from a Ninja point of view because that's what we both use.
That's the thing. We can't really offer our opinion on the other services and which one you should choose, but I think most of the things that we will say in this can be implemented on the other services too. But we'll probably put a link as well to Student Ninja in the
I think it'd be rude not to. I think it'd be seen not to. I think both of us have probably got a referral code as we can just share referral codes. As we can do that. So if you want to help us out and do that, say we're not sponsored yet, but I think that they're one of the ones on my sort of low key sponsor list. I think I'd like to get.
100%.
The fact that we both use them and they're universal across photo and video.
The famous Chris from Student Ninja was that photo video show. I was thinking of going up to him and be like, I've got a podcast, mate.
Come on.
So CRMs. So we want to talk about how we got to like where we started as well, like why a CRM has changed our businesses, and to understand that you have to understand where we started. And for me, in my first few years, I literally started with everything was on a PDF document. So I had my sort of booking form and a contract, which it started off like 7 points, expanded to like 20 points, but it was all on like one A4 page of paper. And turns out none of that was legally binding anyway because it wasn't a proper contract. But that was it. And I would send that to couples. They have to print it off and they'd have to sign it with their pen, and then they'd have to scan it back in and send it over. And all of that is a friction because a lot of couples didn't have a printer. It surprised me, but they didn't have a printer. And then it's like, I don't have a scanner, so can I take it with my phone? And it's just a mess, basically. And it's friction for the couple. It doesn't look professional, especially if you're doing it now, I think, because there's so many people out there doing it, like with a CRM or online. If you're doing that now, I think it look even more unprofessional.
And also, I think it's never before, at the moment, couples just want stuff to be easy. Like they want the easiest life. They want to book you, but the admin side of things, I want my admin to be easy. I don't like doing admin, and I'm sure like life admin less so. Like, when you receive your documents from your insurance company, that used to come through the post for your car and have to stick it in a folder somewhere. That was an effort for me. But now I just drag it out of my inbox into a folder that says car on my personal email. That's so much easier. And I think when couples are dealing with multiple suppliers for their wedding, they want that to be just as easy, don't they? And that's
exactly there's not a lot of people got time for wedding planning. I know from when we did wedding planning, it became like a bit of a chore. It was like we had to set aside time for it, and then like me and Kate would end up going to Spoons, getting drunk and then wedding planning while we were drunk because we just neither of us wanted to do it. It was like, you talk about weddings all the time. The last thing we want to do is plan our own. Like, and don't get me wrong, it's a fun experience, but people just like, they don't have time. They want things to be as easy as possible and they want to be told what the process is. Like literally click here, click this button and you booked in. Like nobody wants to be like, oh, you have to find a printer and all of this. And
also like, I'm sure there are people out there that do it, but I don't find admin fun. Like the best bits of wedding planning are going on your stag do and eating the cake and doing and looking around like amazing venues, or even chatting to us about these ideas that you've got, not filling in your contract or you know, doing an availability like email or something, especially when that becomes a real difficult process.
It's really boring admin that feels like it's kind of work to get where you want to be.
That.
You want it to feel like it's a process that feels exciting for them. And with like the way that these CRMs work, or at least Student Ninja works, like they can go onto the website, pick their packages and what they want, and it's more of like a immersive experience of going through the motions than like, oh, I've got to do this, can't believe I've got to fill out all this lot. And
it feels much more akin to how they're used to, like now if you want to order a pizza, do you know what I mean? Like you don't have to ring the guy anymore and tell him that you want to swap the sweet corn for extra meat instead. It's all like just click and
press
dots on an online thing. And people sadly probably want to book their photography in a similar way, that when you send them a quote, they want to click the album and see how much it adds on, or they want to click on the express edit and see what it does to the invoice, and they want to play with that rather than asking you about it over the phone or having to say like print a contract off and then sign it and scan it back in, when they can just go click, digital signature, send,
job done. Literally, that's how the contracts work on Ninja as well, isn't it? It's digital, and they can both sign it. But so you also tried, is it TAVE? Is that how you say it?
TAVE, however you want to call it. So I then started similar way to you, using PDF contracts, email templates, which I all had like saved, and then used to copy and paste them into my Hotmail account that I was using at the time. And then I had an Excel spreadsheet that I logged all of my bookings on. So I used to then have to go open that up every sort of week and go, oh, whose wedding's coming up and this and that. And then maybe set manual reminders like on my like calendar to go, oh, it's a month away, I need to do this for them.
It feels so weird to talk about now, doesn't it?
It does, and it's not even that long ago. So I was doing that. Obviously, you know, when you first start your business and you're maybe only doing 10 weddings a year, like you know when those 10 weddings are. And it's difficult. But even up to, say, 2019... I was still using that system, and badly. Like, there was a point where couples were emailing me going, oh, we're in 3 weeks away. Like, do we need to pay you yet? And I'm like, oh, shit, we do need to. But because it was June and I was in the throes of season, I was worried about what was happening in June, not the couples that were a month away in July. And so that just having time in my day to physically know, oh, that's 6 weeks away today, that's 6 weeks, and having that. And also at that point, I double booked a wedding. I booked a couple in, forgot to put them on the spreadsheet. Someone else inquires for the same day. And you go, yeah, I'm free. It's not until I went to save the contract into my folder of contracts for that year that it comes up. You've already got a contract for that day.
No.
And then you set into blind panic and go, well, what do I do? And, you know, and then you have to give someone the bad news that, although you've spent half an hour on Zoom with them talking about how amazing their wedding is, that you've turned around and give that deposit back and go, sorry, find someone else to shoot your wedding, which makes you look bad. And all that stuff. I knew at that point I had to make change, but how do you make change or upload all of the weddings you've got for that year and the 20 you've got booked for next year? Where do you find time to upload that onto a system?
And I think it's mental capacity as well. I always speak about things in mental capacity because it's how I think about, like, you should only go through the day using a certain amount of it, especially on work. Like, work is quite, what we do is quite an intense thing anyway. There's always something to think about, whether it's website marketing, couples, like everything like that. And to add to that, when have I got an email when my couple's asking for money, when I've got to get email couples asking for the pre-wedding call, and then also there's what do I type to them and things like that. Like now we've got templates, but then it was like you sort of, maybe you copy and pasting something in, but you'd be sort of trying to make it personal and trying to adapt each email. Yeah,
definitely, for sure. Like you'd find that, or you'd feel that because you were writing it anyway, I feel I should add more of this, rather than now when it's set and it goes out without kind of you having loads of visibility on it, that it's a lot easier to go, no, I've written that's my voice for my business, that's how it needs to be, and off it goes. But so I was using that. I knew that 2019 was a bad time to move, but obviously I knew I had to do something. I was using Shootproof for my online galleries at the time, and they purchased or bought out TAVE as a CRM. So when I renewed my membership that year, if you bought the unlimited plan, they gave everybody a free I think it was a 3 6 months or a 3 year of Tave.
That's
and I
good.
guess it was a way to try and get all of Shootproof's customers
Straight over
onto
to
Tave.
that.
So
Yeah.
when you got to the end of that first year,
You're paying for another
you're
year.
now going to pay another subscription,
Yeah.
which would go into their pot effectively. And I used it for about a month. Well, say I used it, I tried to even build something in it. But Tave is so universal, which is what makes it good. But I felt that you needed a degree in computer coding to be
Yeah.
able to even build a workflow into it, get it to a point where you could add data to it. So I kind of disbanded it and was like, this is not the thing for me. Then obviously COVID hit. And so I had a lot more time on my hands and a lot of weddings that were rebooking. And
Yes.
so that
Yeah.
way it was kind of a no-brainer that I felt like I had 3 or 4 days to sit and just upload customers' details onto it. And so that's when, at that point, there was a Studio Ninja code knocking around for like a half off. So I was like, nope, I'm going to dive in on this. Did the 3 month, and probably within a few hours could see how easy it was to use against Tave, had some sort of a workflow built and knew that that's where I was going to be, and then spent the next few days uploading all of my current weddings and then obviously all of the weddings that I had for the following years as well.
There's definitely a setup process, and I feel like a lot of people who have used other CRMs as well will describe Studio Ninja as the pretty one.
Yes.
So it's the one where it has a really good user interface, and you can pretty much open it, and most people without a good knowledge of computers and things like that can go in and create all their clients and put that in without too much like on the education and learning side of things. Whereas I feel like there are other CRMs out there, and I don't know which ones because I haven't used the others, but that require a bit more of a like, you know, some of them you have to enter code in to do specific tasks, or some of them have just a really like an ugly user interface, so it's not as like exciting to use. Some of them don't have an app, and so I feel like in order to, it's like the Student Ninja's sort of like the gateway drug. It's like it's very much you can open it and instantly get into it, and there's not a huge learning curve because there is a setup process. It's going to take you a few days to start putting your couples in, even longer to maybe get your email templates, your workflows and things like that. And we'll get into all of that, but like that is, it's going to be a process and a bit of a couple of day commitment. So obviously do it in a time where it's not midsummer and you're suddenly like setting up all your emails and things are getting pinged out to people. But yeah, it's worth the commitment.
Yeah, because I think at that point, if you did that, it'd be really easy to go, I haven't got time for this.
Yeah.
And then because it wouldn't work the way that you expected it to work, because you hadn't put enough into it to get it started, you'd feel that you weren't getting the value out of it. Like in that initial phase, you definitely do have to put a lot in.
Yeah.
And there seems to be a lot of construction to get to a point where it is kind of self-managing.
Yeah.
And I find that I do end up tweaking elements of it at the start of every year. Go, do you know what, this should really be in my questionnaire because I'm having to ask that separately, or do you know what, there's this step that's in my workflow that's not really needed anymore, or do you know what, I definitely need to add this into my workflow. So once you've got something built, it's like your house, isn't it?
So easy.
Once you've got a house, just to decorate one room is not too bad, but if you were an empty plot and had to build a house, it seems a big task. But I think at the same time, when you're building that house, when picking a CRM, it's really easy to be lured in by lots of one going, oh, we've got this feature, we've got that feature. And I'll be the first to admit that Studio Ninja doesn't have all the features.
No.
But it's got 99% of the features that I need.
Yeah.
Like it's brilliant. It's like having a Swiss Army knife, isn't it? That goes, it's got 50 tools on it. If you just need to cut something,
it does all the thinking for you. Like
you only need it to do, like, it's really easy when you're comparing other CRMs to go, well, this one's functionality is much better.
Yeah.
But if it's hard to use or it's cumbersome to use,
and
realistically, you don't need 20 of those features.
Yeah.
You're paying for them anyway.
Yeah.
So I like that while Studio Ninja, I wouldn't say has everything, it has everything that I need.
Yeah.
And also, it's really affordable.
It's like getting a car, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like, do you want all of these little add-on features that you're never going to use? But, it sounds cool, but it's got more features.
It's a good way to dangle the carrot, isn't it? Or take that extra few pounds off you every month.
Yeah.
But if you're not using those features,
because they're too complicated, or
your business just doesn't require them.
Yeah.
Like effectively, like we service clients, but we don't need some of the things that other businesses need. Like, as long as it has a functionality to supply somebody with a contract, a questionnaire, a chain of emails, you're pretty much there. Like, I don't need to host a shop for them, or I don't need to have, lots of kind of things constantly exchanging. It's
relatively simple, the sort of communication that we have with our couples, and it's repeatable as well. It's not like different every time. Like, if you were using it for corporate stuff, which I have tried to, it's just not...
because the briefs
it's
for your
different
client are
every single
different,
time. Yeah. Whereas for weddings, generally you're sending out the same emails, you're doing the same thing for every couple, and it's much more repeatable. And
definitely,
the workflows definitely
where we have a
match up to that.
package-based service, you can almost build those workflows for those packages, which I'm going to get onto in a minute, because like I find that obviously I have a full day or like a smaller package, and obviously I don't need as much info. I don't need to worry about if I'm going to get fed or not, or this and that from a couple that are booking me for 2 hours. So their questionnaire is built slightly differently, and I don't need to check in with them maybe monthly as much as I do for a couple that have got me for 12 hours.
Yeah, and there's a lot more detail to go through and things like that.
Definitely, yeah.
Should we start at the beginning with the contact form? So, and then we'll just go through and hopefully.
Because I feel that a lot of people don't do this that have CRMs, and I'm missing their big trick by not doing it.
Do you reckon?
I know when I had Student Ninja, and I obviously used a Squarespace website. I think once people found out that I was using both together, I think I helped at least 2 or 3 people get their Student Ninja contact form onto their Squarespace website.
Okay, yeah.
Because you have to again, it's that bit where you build it in Student Ninja, and then it gives you a chunk of code, which you then need to put a coding box in to copy that into. And I thought it was fairly easy, but obviously a couple of people were like, oh, do you know what? That seems a little bit too much. It seems too daunting to me. It looks
daunting, doesn't it?
And once I kind of held the hand, I was like, oh, that's amazing. So basically, you can build in Student Ninja your contact form. So the information that you want them to put onto it, and then you can build it with the colours of your brand and the style that you need. And then you obviously can embed that onto your website. So the contact form that people fill out on your site isn't one that will just ping you a personal email. It will literally pour them into the funnel of your CRM as a new lead.
Yeah, exactly. So with that, so we've got ours on our contact page, and then when people fill it out, you can also like get it to like show a little message afterwards. So the message it will show is check your spam, because it will go into your spam basically. But yeah, that comes straight through as a lead. You've got the options for like drop down things like, for example, like how did you find us? If you want to keep track of how people are finding you, you can add that to your contact form. And like you say, that then comes straight through as a lead. We've also got the auto reply set up so that they get an email immediately saying, we've got your email, we reply to it within however many hours. Or when we're on holiday, we edit that auto email to say, we're on holiday, so expect it.
That's exactly the same as I do. So in that degree, I do have a saved kind of template in a folder on my computer, which is my holiday autoresponder, and the same way that when I set my out of office on my normal email, I just copy that one over to my autoresponder on my inquiries. For safety, I feel that it's better, because in the old days I used to then have to go onto my contact page and just put a line of text above my contact form going, please note I'm on holiday till then, which I kind of feel that that's really obvious that I'm saying that my house is empty for these days on my website.
True.
But at the same time now, people can still inquire, because before I used to feel that it would put people off inquiring, and then in the meantime, while I was on holiday, they'd find somebody else.
Then you got their details, what.
But they've already done that capture, and then to be educated to go, I'm not ignoring you, I'm on holiday till this day. That's and I think having that autoresponder is just another level of just kind of that you're replying to somebody instantly without even being at your desk.
I feel like you need some sort of confirmation that it's all gone through, because when you click submit and then it just, right, okay. Nothing. But to get an email saying, we've got it and we're still here, like we're still knocking about and we'll reply to you.
But again, that's how businesses work now. If you buy tickets like on Ticketmaster, or you go to Amazon, you get a success. You've got your order. And because society works that way now, I think we need to match that. And it's people, they say you just have to have that peace of mind so that you don't get spammed with 3 of the same inquiry from the same person. Because they go, but I wasn't sure it went through, and I really want to get in touch with you.
Yeah, and they're not waiting like 24, 48 hours and hearing nothing. And they've at least heard something from you saying that you're still doing business and you'll be coming back to them within a certain amount of time. And also, that's a good time to talk about like read receipts as well, because I feel like the automated email is a good indication of whether like a couple is gonna either ghost you or they're not checking their spam or things like that, because it has read receipts and
built into the app, and also at 2 levels. So with mine, I'm sure it's the same across the board. So once you send an email, it goes onto a mail chain that you've got in your kind of on their lead page, which is orange and says that the email was sent. Then it goes blue when it was delivered.
I thought blue was red.
Oh, mine's blue. Maybe I've changed my colours. So mine goes blue when it's red. And then if you send them a contract or a quote or a thing, if they click the link in that email, mine goes purple then and says lick clicked link clicked at that time. So you know then that, because sometimes I find I send a couple of quote and they'll obviously open it and have a little play around with it, but then maybe don't just fill it all in straight away. But I at least know that they've opened it and done that.
Yeah.
But the only thing that I will say, which I found out from somebody else, is that only works if you leave it alone. So obviously, because you link your email to your CRM, if I go into my sent items on my Gmail, I can still see the emails that have been sent by Studio Ninja. If I open them in my sent box,
it'll be marked as red.
It'll be marked as red on my CRM.
Yeah.
So as much as it's nice to go, oh, it's definitely there in my sent items, don't click on it, because it will then give you almost a false reading on the CRM. So if you're using it to make sure that people have opened emails, don't go diving into your sent box. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, it's not perfect. There's also been said on the there's a Student Ninja Facebook group as well, which is actually really handy. So if you need any help or whatever, their support is all over their Facebook group. Loads of people have asked for certain things. They're always like asking, oh, which feature would you rather have quickest, which is really cool. Like the Facebook group is cool, but they've also said on there that the read receipts, some hosts, when it goes into spam, mark it as red.
Okay.
So you might find it says red, but it's actually gone into spam. But there's obviously, we've spoken about in our episodes, ways you can get around that with WhatsApp and text and things like that, and capturing their phone number.
With the business. And also, I saw that obviously another good thing with Studio Ninja is that because they are always constantly working on new features, they gave us a roadmap, didn't they, a few weeks ago, of things that are coming, and they've said the SMS response through Ninja will be here by the end of the year. Yeah. So how that looks, whether we have to put a number in, or like you could put your gift gaff number in, so your business number in, and then you could back up every email that's sent with a text, just to let you know I've sent you an email about this. Yeah. And you could almost have that templated as well through Ninja. Would be absolutely next level.
Because at the moment I'm doing that all manually, and it feels like back to dinosaur level.
Because everything else is so automated, you're having to manually do that piece. But if they could automate that into the stream as well, it would be even better. Yeah.
So then you can sort of template your emails, and like I have template responses for positive response and a negative response. The negative response has some recommendations in it for other videographers. My positive response has like the next steps of things to do. But then obviously they're automated, but you want to be a bit more personal as well. So like my positive response has a bit of like a space in the middle where I put the personal bits. Oh, we love this venue and we've worked here before and we worked here this time, and we love this photographer, I'm so glad they recommended us, or whatever. And like just so that they know that you've not just sent a
so technically I have 3 positive responses.
Do you? Okay.
So I have 2 venues that I work at pretty often.
Yeah, I've seen this before, venues,
and then one, so I have one generic kind of yes I'm free email. And again, I have a line in that where to write 2 lines of text in a templated email is much better than writing a whole email. So to normally go, oh, I've worked at your venue before, or that'll be a new one for me, but I'm really excited to do this, or I did this, and have that element. But if it is for 2 of the venues that I work at most regularly and shoot multiple weddings at every year, I also have a response for there to go, yes, love this venue. They've been recommending me for years now. I know the team, I know the venue. Here's my favourite here. Here's one of the best weddings that I've shot there. If you want to have a sneak peek at what it might look like. And then there's a link to one of the featured weddings on my website.
Yeah, that's a really good idea.
To do that. And obviously you can't do that for every venue, because your templates would be, in the multiples. But because those venues are kind of a real core of my inquiries and my thing, I think it's just a nice little touch to kind of, you're kind of reaffirming your authority with that inquiry to go, yes, I'm there all the time. I know the venue, I know the staff, I'm recommended. Here's how good I can make it look. And I do find that has a really, really good response for those. But again, I'm not writing that and linking that every time. You've already got that templated out, which again saves time. Which you could do for, say, if you have venues that you shoot at more than not, or ones that you want to shoot at more, you have something honed particularly for those inquiries.
And I find that makes it like, because there's such a smaller mental barrier between you replying to the inquiry, and make sure you reply to it quicker.
Yes.
So if it comes through at a certain time of the day and you're trying to reply to an email, you're thinking, oh, what do I say? Or this lot, and you're trying to type it out, and then it's like, oh, I can't do this on my phone. I'll do it later on the computer. You've already got a response, especially if it comes through from a venue that you know and you've got like you have. So you can literally go on your phone, press the button, it's answered. And also the data is already input because I think whenever you explain that well, that obviously when they fill out the information on the contact form, that self-fulfills the lead. So obviously if you're doing then an email from a contact form, like a generic like Wix one,
you have to then copy the email address out of that email
Yeah.
into a reply, where this will automatically generate a lead in Studio Ninja for that inquiry with the name that they put on the contact form, the email address, the date, and it will tell you from your calendar whether you have another lead or another booked wedding for that date. So I can open Studio Ninja, click on my leads tab, and if I've got 2 red squares next to the 2 new leads, I know that I'm not free for either of them. So I literally don't even have to go then open my diary and go, oh no, this is this.
Literally at a glance.
I can literally just open it, go, no, I'm already booked. Sorry, okay, I'll send them the negative response.
And it's gone. Yeah.
And offer them a recommendation list. If they come back and go, oh, boo, you're not available. Yes, can you recommend someone? I then just go, fine, click into the same lead again, send them my templated recommendation response.
Yeah.
And then archive it.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. At a glance, literally. You don't have to go through multiple different systems to find out if you're available. Or let me go on my calendar app.
Or again, with the positive response, you just, the work. And also, my contact form, when it generates the lead, automatically puts everybody into the full day funnel. Workflow. To build. And then obviously, if it transpires that it's then a micro inquiry, I can just flip
it over the workflow
workflows later because the actual pre-booking stage is exactly the same.
Yeah. So with booking then, the booking system's pretty cool. So essentially they get their own little portal, which you can either give them, this is your package, this is what you're getting, just tick the box. And then it goes on to a contract and a questionnaire.
If you want to.
If you want to,
If you want to run it literally as chilled as, you accept the quote, we're good to go.
Which I wouldn't recommend.
Well, I would recommend, but obviously, but the fact as soon as they hit accept on that quote, say it opens this portal for them, which you then can brand with your own. You can add your logo to it. You can change the colour. It very much looks like something which has come from you rather than they're on a completely separate.
It gives them a step-by-step guide essentially. The portal. It's like there's different tabs. It's like 1, 2, 3, and 4. And for me, it's quote, contracts, questionnaire, and then invoice.
So one's the same. But the fact that they have that to refer back to, that stops me getting when do we owe you the money? Because they just look in there, it tells you on their invoice how much they owe and when it's due. If they want to find out, when have we booked you till? It's on the quote.
It's all on there. Yeah.
And I think people like that. So occasionally some people still do, but normally I find if they do that in the early stage, go now just refer to your portal and almost treat it like that's their space for you. Because I would find if I was customer servicing with somebody, I would try and look back through my emails for them to try and find the answer before I just almost bothered them with an email. And if you're making that they have a space where for all of that to live, they're not going, when do we owe that photographer? And they're digging back through their email from a year ago when they booked you to find out when the final balance is due. They can just go to the portal and it's done. Yeah,
because they can go back to that portal at any time and change bits of the questionnaire and have a look at what's in the contract and see what they booked in terms of like packages and things like that.
And also there's a files section in there as well, which you can add in, which is really handy. So now when I send out one of my final pieces of automation, it says once you've had your final venue meet with your couple, with your venue, if you're happy to, can you upload their itinerary for the day in the file section?
That's cool. That's nice, yeah.
Because a lot of times the couple we get to the final call or the final questionnaire, and they give me a set of timings which they think are best. Then when you actually look at what the venue have said, it's a little bit different. It's like, they've actually allowed a bit of like 15 minutes to get everybody seated there. So I know that's my couple. So if they're telling me they're sitting down at 4, they might not get announced until 4:15. And so I kind of feel then that I'm using the venue's timings and I haven't got to go chase the venue for it.
Most accurate.
They just chuck it in straight into this portal. So when I'm shooting 5 or 6 weddings that month, I haven't got to then dig through my emails to go, what's that bride called to get this file? It just lives on the portal and on the app.
We rocked up, didn't we, at a wedding, and like we had different times, and we all rocked up with different times. You're like, okay, what is going on? But generally, the venue is the one to.
Yeah, so that's what I find now that was something that I recently added. That they again probably get a PDF schedule from their venue. That I just encourage them just to add it to the portal. Or in other times I've had, this is my, some couples that really want that kind of level of micromanagement to go, we've made a table plan, or like we're going to add this to it so you can see, or we've got a wedding website and they can add that stuff in there as well. And so you kind of really feel that it all lives in that portal rather than me have to fish through my inbox for it.
And if you have more than one package or a lot of packages and products, then I think this is a good way to upsell as well.
Perfectly,
so Studio, when you send the quote, they offer a pick and choose quote as well, where you can put, so we've got 3 packages and like maybe 3 or 4 different extras that you can add. You can put those 3 packages on there and they can tick the package they want. And then it says, do you want any extras? And like they have to scroll through that and read it to get to where they want to go. And they can tick their extras and it will just add up. And I think that is a good way to upsell because those extras are there. All they've got to do is tick a button.
I think particularly in video, like I find that I kind of add at that point, my products consist of Do you want an album now? Like, do you want to put it on before you book, or do you want an engagement shoot, or do you want the express edit?
Yeah.
But I think with video, if you're especially offering that, like, do you want the keepsake?
Yeah.
You know, do you want the drone? Like, there's probably a lot more additions to the actual kind of bare bones of your package. That's a great place to do it without having to try and be really salesy in a call about it. They'll just see it, and also it gives them the flexibility to go, well, this is roughly our budget. If we have the drone, what does that do? But we can move that off. They can play with that without you being sat in front of them trying to sell them to it.
Yeah, and I've had a couple before who have inquired with, we want your top package, and instantly, obviously, I've come back to them. We've had the call and everything, and then they've put the bottom package. And so what I do now, you can template the pick and choose quote, so it does it all for you. So it puts the packages and the products that you sort of want on there, and then it will automatically attach your contract and the questionnaire, can't you?
Yes.
But now sometimes I'll remove the bottom package if they've inquired with, we want the top package. I'll remove the bottom one so that they're not going to change their mind and be like, Joe, I don't think we need it. It's not even an option there for them anymore.
Yeah. And it's so easy. That's a one-click solution.
Yeah.
It's not like you're having to again go make a whole new bespoke thing. You can template that quote system now. So I again have a full day kind of quote built and a micro quote built.
Yeah.
And so for the most part, that obviously as your pricing changes and stuff like that all the payment schedules are done. So I think that's the best thing that I know now, that I take a 20% deposit and my final payment 2 weeks before. So it automatically generates that for me.
Yeah.
So when the invoice is built, it's got you, because your wedding date is fixed in there, it automatically knows to send them an email reminder to the invoice at the parameters you set. When they're not there on their calculator trying to work out what 20% is of that booking to send you over the thing, it generates an invoice and goes, you owe me this amount within the next few days to secure your booking. And it almost dehumanizes the business side from you. And I think that's
exactly
probably
what I've put,
singly one of the biggest things which is done for me. And also I kind of I educate my couples to go, well, you know, the CRM's in place, it will automatically send you a question at this point. So they almost know that bit is Robot Tom. So I can say as like fluffy fun Tom that comes to the wedding and has a great time with them, and it's not me going, well, you haven't paid your invoice, give me money. It's almost just like, just to let you know, this isn't, this is Tom's like robot assistant, more or less telling you that it's now 2 weeks from your wedding. If you haven't paid your invoice, can you do this? And you can keep almost a more businessy tone with those, because they kind of know that it's not coming from you as a human. So that you can almost remain to be light and fluffy on the day, because they almost know that you've got the robot working for you.
They're disassociating those emails with you.
And before, I think maybe like even a few years ago, that wouldn't be okay. People would almost feel cheated that they're not speaking to you. But in the AI kind of automated world that we live now, you know that when you, again, go back to your car insurance, you speak to the live chat thing, they're speaking to loads of people, or a lot of that's automated anyway. When you're asking for such a simple task of, it's 2 weeks before, can you pay this? They know that doesn't need like
to have
fluffy,
you
how are you? How are you doing? How's the cat? Like, it just needs to, like, I'm sorry, but you owe me this. Because you probably communicated fairly frequently around that time anyway.
Exactly. It does it's good for the brand to be able to disassociate those like really businessy emails away from your personal emails that you're sending them, basically. So no, I think that's good. And payment wise, you can actually, like you say, it creates the payment schedule for you. You can connect it to, I think it's Stripe. Or what I do is it literally just comes up with my bank details at the bottom and they have to pay.
Because I don't want to pay Stripe. I don't want to lose the fees for Stripe. Obviously, if you do that, if you lose, the 3 or 4% on your,
it's a lot of money.
It's a lot. But then, if you are a Stripe user, because I have Stripe for my print sales through PickTime, I have you can make like a custom box in there, which is a link. So very occasionally, I have couples say to me, "Are we able to pay by credit card or pay by card rather than a bank transfer?" And at that point, I can use my discretion to go, okay, here's this link, do it that way, and then update the invoice. But for the most part, if they click on their invoice, it will say, please send a bank transfer payment to, and then list my bank details. So again, I have a bank details handy to be copying it and pasting it into emails for people going, oh, well, we want to pay our final balance and I can't find your invoice. You just go, click this link.
It's literally right there. Job done. Yeah, that makes sense. And so once they're booked in, then we could go infinitely talk about workflows, but essentially then is your time to, if you want to send emails in the build up to the wedding, you can set that to be automated. I don't have any of that yet, but I do have plans to do that. Do you have anything built in like 6 months or 5 months or anything, or do you literally
I didn't at the beginning, and then they changed an app, because at one point everything had to be set. You couldn't set it to a date. you had to set it to days from,
before.
months from,
Yeah.
whatever. But when they added stuff that you could set it to a date, if I have couples that book me in a previous year now, and then their wedding's the following year, there is an email set in my workflow that messages them on New Year's Day to go,
cool.
this is new. You can now officially say you're...
so you can do that?
Yeah, so you can do it now. It only got added in one of the last updates. You can set things to an actual date now.
Yeah.
So I have one in mind for January 1st between their lead take and their wedding day to go, you are now officially in your wedding year. This is so exciting, and the rest of it.
That's a banging idea.
And then I have one that goes out, I think, at 6 months to go, again, if the journey's that long. And then my next contact after that at the moment is 8 weeks before is when I deliver my final questionnaire. But then after that, I have, now you've hopefully completed the questionnaire. Can we book in our final call at 1 month to go? And then also I have a 1 week to go.
Yeah.
Your wedding's literally 7 days away.
Literally,
if anything has changed since we last spoke, please let me know. And then I have my final email that goes out the night before their wedding.
The night before?
Literally goes the night before. Like, hopefully you're not reading this, you're too busy in your hotel having fun.
Yeah, what does it say?
And the rest of it, I'll be at bridal prep in the morning. If you're somewhere and you've forgotten something, let me know. I'll go and do a hair grip run on boots on the way to me to prep in the morning, rather than you sending someone out for it.
Yeah.
Like, see you in the morning type thing. If you want coffee, I'm going to Macca's. That's like, again, something really light and fluffy. And some people read it. Some people only find it when I deliver their previews the day after. But I just kind of think that there's no doubt then of normally... To me, confirm at that point, yes, I'm going to be there tomorrow. If you're in doubt what time I'm going to arrive, as a rule, I arrive 3 hours before ceremony starts. So if your ceremony is at 1, I'll be there at 10. So, because sometimes, when they're in the morning and they're in a makeup chair and someone's going, photographer's not here yet, do you know what time he's going to come? And they go, whatever 3 hours before our ceremony is. And because it's kind of, you're using it to reaffirm that. But do I want to be at my desk the night before someone's wedding going, reminding them what time I'm going to arrive? No, I don't.
Yeah, yes, that's what I do pretty much. I send a WhatsApp, so it requires a bit more.
But again, I think once that SMS thing comes in,
hopefully you won't
there'll
have to
be
do
certain
that.
There'll be certain points of that which we'll go over to text if I'm able to, because I think that's a much better way of consuming that rather than an email at that time.
I hope that include the iMessage and stuff for read receipts and things, because one of the things about WhatsApp is you can see when they've once they've replied once, you can see when they've seen it, but other than that you can't. So
but I'm hoping in the end, or maybe what I'd like to see is that's something I've got on my list, which I use a lot of, is that Studio Ninja particularly have a list of integrations. So companies that don't belong to Ninja that they work with that allow you to merge what you do in Ninja into their service. So if they could have a WhatsApp integration, that would be great.
Insane,
so at the moment, obviously, I use PicTime to deliver my galleries. They have a PicTime integration so that when I upload my galleries in PicTime, you are now able to share the links. You can put the links for those into that. Once you link that gallery in your workflow to that workflow, you can kind of get some functionality there, which is really good.
I've never had to use.
I have a Google Calendar automation.
Yeah, I have that as well.
So that obviously the second that a lead comes in on my Studio Ninja or a wedding, it's automatically in my Google Calendar. So when I open my phone, so when your mate goes, do you want to come to the cinema like next month? I can look it in and I don't have to put that wedding in my diary so that there's no room for error of me putting it on the wrong day or the wrong year or anything like that. I can literally go through and it will tell me Studio Ninja has put that lead in my diary, it's put that wedding in my diary.
I had a nightmare this morning where I had a calendar clash between two things, and it wasn't, so basically a software that was putting things into my calendar wasn't marking me as busy. So two people booked in calls. One of them was workshop day. I was like, no way I'm doing a call and even a workshop day. And one of them was when I was on holiday. I had to sort of message and be like, I'm going to be sipping cocktails on the beach at this point. For some reason, my calendar hasn't marked me as busy. So,
and again, we're not saying this is a one size fits all and that things don't slip through the net at times. Obviously, one of the main kind of bugbears that I have with Studio Ninja is it only integrates with Google Calendar, not with iCalendar. So I find now that I have to then sync my iCalendar with my Google Calendar in order for me to get my weddings on my phone. But it does work. But if it works seamlessly with iCalendar, I could then say, no, I'm going to be on holiday this day, and I wouldn't have to then log it in Studio Ninja as an appointment, my holiday. At the moment I do. If I book a holiday, I have to put a 14-day appointment in my Ninja calendar so that it will give me the clash. If not, I do have to check it manually.
Wow, okay. I think Google Calendar's better, to be fair. Anyway, I'm a Google Calendar user.
Which is weird for someone who's like an Apple everything.
Apple everything. Yeah, no, it's weird. It is weird, isn't it? But yeah, so workflows we could talk about a while. But I'm pretty similar. Like my email goes out 6 weeks before. It's got the questionnaire in it, and it says to book a call. Then I've got one like the day after saying like, congrats, here's a link to our wedding film tracker. You can sign up to the website and you can track it straight away, just so it's not like I'm having to remember to put that in.
So same I have it with my sneak peeks. Obviously I deliver sneak peeks the morning normally after a wedding. So in order for me to come home whilst I'm backing up to edit 10 or 12 images is great, but I know that when I wake up in the morning I haven't got to then write them a huge email going, these are your images, I had such a great time at your wedding, like if you want to share them, can you tag me in, is it okay if I share them, like just to let you know, you've got these now. It'll probably be 4 to 6 weeks until you get the rest of the images. It's all rewritten.
So it sends it out for you?
No. So I have that I have it as a pre-templated email in my workflow, you change the link to the photos. It's not an auto sender. So all I have to do is go in now on the morning, normally after a wedding, click it, attach the photos and send.
That's another thing, actually. So
don't write a thing.
Yeah. So you can see your workflow at the side of the profile of the person's profile. So if you have emails that need to be sent out, but you'd like to check them out first, you can literally tick that and it will pop up with that email, and then you can check it out, make sure it's still relevant to the couple, and then send it. Without, if you're too worried about auto sending it, then
because some things I find aren't date. Like it doesn't have to go out then, but that's the logically next thing in the workflow. So the one that bugbears me a little bit with Studio Ninja is that I have a thank you for booking email that goes out, which says thank you, but I can't, because I don't have Stripe payments. If that was integrated through Ninja, I could automatically to send it after the invoice was paid. But because I don't have that option, the only option that I have is to auto send it after the quote is accepted.
Okay.
So if someone accepts the quote, does the contract and the questionnaire, and doesn't pay the deposit, it automatically could, if I had it set to auto send, would send an email to go, you've booked in. Thank you for sorting all the payments. Thank you for sorting all the paperwork out and getting that booking fee over. And they could then get that without the booking fee being there. So I have that in my workflow,
same,
but it doesn't auto send anymore, because I had one go out and someone was like, I haven't actually sent the payment yet, like listen to that. So now I just have it, so as soon as that invoice is paid, I literally open their job and just click the tick button, and it sends that email.
That's a good example of how to use that thing.
So that's one of the only ones that I have where once I know that and they're booked in, they're pretty much on that journey. And everything then will, if I say that goes out 6 months before their wedding, that goes out 6 weeks before their wedding, they're in that flow then. It knows when their wedding is, they're booked in on that date, and everything else can kind of be centric from that wedding day point.
Yeah. It probably surprises me how many people don't reply to that "you're booked in" email. I'd say probably 9 out of 10 couples, just once they're booked in, they just...
Most of mine don't.
Even
I find that I normally get... Because obviously you can then set email... kind of reminders up. So if I open my Gmail account, I'll have an email from Ninja going, your questionnaire has been done, your contract's been signed, that. And then normally I get a reply to the quote the quote email going,
saying,
just let you know we've filled everything in and we've sent you the money, like can't wait to work with you. But then again, they get probably within the next hour that, woo, you've booked in, this is so exciting. Nothing.
Yeah, exactly that.
But I don't care.
I find it so weird.
Well then, like, I've paid you now, I've filled out your forms, like don't talk to me for a while.
Which is fine. I think that's absolutely fine.
I quite like that breathing space then, because I think they feel that they're probably booking other suppliers in, or
moved on.
They just want to feel they've got you. But then in say a couple of months' time, us to ping in, and if you are someone that really wants to educate your couples, or really kind of drive a point home, you could literally have emails going out to them then every week, every month, going, just let you know how you're getting on with your planning. If you're thinking about buying confetti for your wedding, 6 months away is a really good time, because it's quite a cheap thing to do. Here's my advice on what you could buy. Or if you're finding that you're getting pain points, or if people do things at weddings that make your life difficult because you're not educating them on them, that's a really good way of kind of you feeling like you're being helpful, but not having to sit and write that email every time. You could literally just inject little bits of kind of wisdom along the way. Yeah,
exactly. Like, prep in the morning, make sure you've got a crap corner with everything in it and that sort of stuff. Like you could definitely have little bits of educational emails coming through every now and then, just to remind people. It reminds people you're still there for a start. And also, it will help people. They might implement it, and on the day they might be thankful that you've sent them one of those little nuggets.
And that's it. And it's a way to give somebody a really great experience. like big companies have customer experience teams to sit and
For
send
that,
this stuff out. But unfortunately, we don't. We are mostly one people businesses.
Yeah.
So that if you can have a robot, which is fairly inexpensive, to still give people a slice of that great personal experience that comes in a voice that you've written, but you've only had to write once. Yeah. I just think it's an absolute no-brainer.
It's good, yeah. The workflows definitely make the most of them. The disadvantage at the moment of Student Ninja is every time you change your workflow, you then have to go into every couple and change. And they are working on that, but apparently there's a lot of variables in it.
I think it's the best and worst thing, because I would then moan if it changed one of my couples I didn't want it to change, and they started getting sent emails I didn't want them to get. But at the same time, when you've, say, got 30 more couples for this year and then already 10 for next year, to go and do that same task 40 times in a row is monotonous as hell.
Because you'd have to niche down your workflows even more if you wanted it to not change certain ones.
Yes.
It is but that's what makes
what we've
it
said
the best
is
one.
It's not perfect. I don't think any CRM is completely perfect, because they're making a piece of software to fit a market rather than a person. But at the same time, for me to know now that I get replies from couples, like a lot of my couples now for my late May, early June weddings are getting back in contact going, I've filled the questionnaire out, when should we meet? I wouldn't have known off the top of my head that person's wedding was 6 weeks away. But my CRM did, and it emailed them in a really enthusiastic, like, your wedding 6 weeks ago, it's come round so fast, here's everything I need from you. That was when in the throes of a busy week, that stuff would get missed, and then before you know it, the couple are panicking that
you haven't contacted them.
You haven't contacted them.
I get emails probably a couple of days before that 6 weeks email sometimes, like, just wondering if we need to give you any information or anything, and I just reply with, you'll get an email in a couple of days with all the stuff.
Don't worry, it's all taken care of. I've got an email already set to go to you, so that when it comes in a slightly automated kind of tone, they know that they're expecting it, rather than you think, well, you emailed me yesterday and now you're sending me this, that kind of thing. So there are ways to kind of placate that as you go through, and I don't feel the need to hide the fact that I have a CRM.
No.
I think a lot of my couples sometimes think I'm a lot busier than I actually am, or go, we know you're so busy, but can we just ask this? And that's a really good way of staying on top of that customer service thing.
Gives you more headspace, allows you to have more time to focus on the things that matter in the business, and also you generally can treat your clients a lot better and have more of a good customer experience. I think that's a good way. I think
that's definitely. I think that's a really good way of doing it. I used to get admin anxiety. Like, I would lay in bed sometimes and go, I know there's something I should have done.
Surely I need to send an email to a couple.
There must be a couple weddings coming up. I'm in the middle of wedding season. There's got to be somebody that I've missed, or again, maybe I missed a payment. Because if a couple never asked me for the money, I'd still know their wedding was then. But if they hadn't paid, I wouldn't have had that idea. Where now I know that if they don't pay, that it sends them a payment reminder to go, you need to do this, you need to do that, or it's so easy for me to look for a really seamless array. And even 100%. Down to marketing, like you said, I have a lead sources thing on my inquiry, and that makes a really pretty little pie chart for me on my home screen when I log into Ninja, which gives me a split of where my bookings are coming from. So if I go, actually, maybe I'm a bit quiet, I can look at that and go, well, hell, like 45% of my last leads just came from Instagram.
I've just found out that you can set that up, because I have it set up as a text field, so it doesn't
create the pie chart. So mine's a drop down. So once you do a drop down, say there's 6 options, then you get a pie chart come up of lead sources. So I can see where the biggest chunks of the pie are coming from. So you know what elements of your marketing are working most effectively. And it's visual. Like
analytics is kind of a good reason to get one as well, but I don't think the analytics are that great on Student Ninja, to be honest with you. Like, when you export all your leads and jobs, like, it comes out a bit mumbo jumbo.
There's things I think that it definitely needs work on. Like, I would like the fact that if you could search stuff by venue, that would be amazing. So I could click on it and go, how many Square Tower weddings have I got this year? And it would tell me.
That's cool. That'd be nice.
Because I wouldn't know otherwise.
Because it is a database, so it shouldn't be too hard to implement.
Especially
stuff like
when
that.
On that capture form it searches by address. So when your couple starts typing in, like, again, Square Tower or Portsmouth, it auto-fills and it finds the address for them, which is amazing. So you get the most accurate place to go to. But why not make that text there searchable? So again, there are flaws in it, and I don't want to talk it down too much, because it has absolutely saved my bacon when it comes to a task that I honestly really don't enjoy.
And we still like our sponsorship at some point.
Yes, definitely.
No, we would say if there's anything I found today as well this morning. when I was just looking through it, just like to write notes for this, that there's a thing that tells you your revenue for each year and compares it like a little
do you
chart.
use that?
No, I've never used it before.
Yeah.
And I got onto it and like was comparing my revenue from each month, and it's all over the place because my obviously weddings are all over the place, and I get my payment 6 months before.
Yeah.
6 months before anyway. So, but you can kind of see it going up year after year.
I see, because I don't. So obviously I take like 20% deposit, then the 80%.
Yeah.
I use that curve to really tell where my busiest months are, because you know that payment's coming in probably most of that's in that month. So I know that if mine's doing a pyramid, I've got a really busy summer, and the end's a thing where I kind of end up having like a triple hump.
Do you? Okay.
Like, you know, like March and April, little dip, big summer, and then it kind of rolls in a wave. And then you can overlay years as well. So you can see, well, last year I had a really busy October, but this year I've got an absolute mountain in August.
Yeah.
And I find it, because I'm a visual person, which
It's
most of
so
us
good to
probably
sit there
are.
and just look at that
when
chart.
we are people that work in pictures and films, you probably are easier to look at like graphics rather than you are text. And again, then you can lay the years up and go, oh, actually, well,
that's what I was doing.
My years are increasing, so I know that I'm heading in the right direction, or I know that I've got less weddings, but that revenue figure's not changing.
I found that I'm a big advocate for doing the 6 months before thing, but because it keeps your income like pretty much straight throughout the year.
Yeah.
But having looked at that, it's not. So it's the first 6 to 7 months are like very good, and then it like really tails off, because if you think about it, in like
6 months before September is
September,
January, February.
In September, you're not getting. I don't get many bookings in October at all. So in September, I'm not getting anything for October weddings. I'm not getting anything for, what would it be, March?
February weddings. February, March weddings.
Yeah. So it really drops off towards the end of the like middle to the end of the year. Not really drops off, but
but
you can
it's
see
more
it
noticeable.
More so.
But
I still think it's the best idea, because you don't get that spike. And I know a lot of people who do like winter weddings just because they feel like they need to fill that gap.
But again, just having that in there is kind of, again, it's not the life and soul of a CRM at all, but just to have that feature in so you can see kind of where things are, or just to keep a track of it, or to have a really basic overview of kind of cash flow. But again, there are automations for Xero and QuickBooks, I believe, in Studio Ninja.
Yeah.
So that then when people pay their invoices in Ninja and you update that, then it would automatically ping it into QuickBooks, so you wouldn't have to again double bookkeep that way. So there are benefits for it always round. So.
Right, that's CRMs then. And
it is, yeah. If you haven't got one, get one.
Yeah.
Though you don't have to necessarily get Ninja. Although if you do have Ninja and have some things of it, or you've got Ninja and there's something that we've mentioned that you didn't know about, again, drop us a DM or a comment on the video, and we'll try and help you if the answer's not in the group already. Like, we're by no means experts, but
if you haven't got it and you do want to get it, link in description, because
we're going to put our referral codes in there, and if you can get me a free month by signing up, that's a meal deal, isn't it?
It all helps, doesn't it? Yeah, exactly. It's not that expensive either, is it? So it's quite a good price. Like,
I think for the money that they pay it, I would pay more for it for what it does for me.
Don't tell them that. But if Studio Ninja as well, if you listen to this, reach out.
Yeah, definitely, for sure.
But yeah, so that's the end of a bumper episode. But I feel like we've covered a lot, and it's something that I'm quite passionate about. Like, anyone who's got not good, I'm like, please just try it.
Just do it. Also, I just want you to have an easy life. That's what we've said.
Exactly,
anything to get a simple life is the way forward. So.
Yeah, definitely.
Can we do this? Are we going to do like the catchphrase for like in unison at the end?
Yeah. All right. Thank you for watching, and
see you in the next one.
We've done it. Pulled it off.
We actually did it. Oh.